Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Okay, now let's have a hand for our first speaker, Carrie.
I'm Carrie, and I'm a very short alcoholic. It's stationary, but I'm not. Can you? All right, good, because I wouldn't want you to miss any of this. I'd like to thank Bara for asking me to share. It's an honor and a privilege to share at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, apparently. I don't need these glasses. I wear them so that you'll think that I'm intelligent. You see, look, stupid, smart, you see. Not that I care what you think of me. I'm not self-obsessed at all. I used to say that I came from a background of show business and alcoholism and that was redundant. But I don't say that anymore. I'll tell you briefly what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I'm standing on my toes. Let's see. I was born, and then it got complicated. Actually, I think that was probably complicated. My father passed out, and then they went and paid attention to my father, and they didn't give my mother enough dope or something. So it was stressful right away. Let's see. My father left my mother when I was very young, but in my mind, he left me. And I still think that. But my brother was sort of all fine about all this, but I was like a hornet. You know, I was very emotional about everything always. Adults would look at me and say, "Is she mad at me?" So I was a very intense kid, and that only got more intense because adolescence, being the sort of lightweight thing that it is, it hit me pretty hard. My parents are celebrities. It's not their fault. They seem to have been born that way. They're naturally incapable of grasping. So that was sort of complicated for me because let's see, why was that complicated? Well, at first, because my father was gone, so I saw my father more on television than in real life. So it's not like you can run into a room and say, "You know how you see your father more on television than in real life?" And a lot of people will go, "Yeah." I think Jamie Lee Curtis is probably the only person that would say that. But what it did was it made me feel very different, my parents being as vivid as they were, as visible. And I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want to stick out, and my family made everything stick out. And so that, and people always thought, because I always wanted to figure out what you thought of me so I could try to control it. I thought, and I heard people say, "Oh, she thinks she's so great because she's so-and-so's child," and I didn't think I was great. I developed a real self-deprecatory manner. You know, my posture was bad, and it still is, but for different reasons. I'm elderly, and my back is out because I'm elderly. So I wanted to convince you that I was just like you. But I don't think that I was utterly convinced, because I had that thing where I felt completely different than everybody. And so I started getting loaded when I was 13. I think my mother rented our house in Palm Springs, and the person that rented it left marijuana. So my mother brought it home and said, "I brought this, dear, so that you could experiment with me." And not that she'd ever done it. So she apparently forgot about that, but I didn't, because I needed relief. And so I stole the marijuana, which was to start a pattern of theft of chemistry. And I did it with my girlfriend, who's actually sober now in AA. And we rolled it up in notebook paper and smoked dope in my dollhouse. And then, my life was really weird, and that was not lost on me. And I went to Europe with a gay friend of my mother's who was in her nightclub act. It'll make sense to you someday. But anyway, and I drank sangria. And I thought, am I drunk, or am I acting like I'm, whatever. And then I was vomiting. And I can't say that I wanted to repeat that. It didn't do that thing for me. But I gave it another shot. Here was what I wanted alcohol to do for me. Here's what I saw alcohol do for others. That never happened. That absolutely never happened. But I gave it I tried very hard to make it happen. My father is a drug addict, and my mother drinks, but that's not why. It helped, because I actually did dope with my father. He's so paternal. So anyway, I grew up, and I think, is my daughter in here? Because I can tell you this. I went from marijuana to heroin. I had no thing in my head that said, you don't try this. She's outside. Okay, we're cool. Oh, no, you won't believe it. No, I just tried it once, and I was still living at home. I had no thing in my head that said, this is not done. If it spelled relief, and anything that was in a medicine cabinet or in a bar, that all spelled relief. So it was true in my case that you go from marijuana to heroin. Don't tell my daughter. She once asked me what heroin was, and I gave her this look like, she said, "Do you know anyone that tried it?" And I went, and she said, "Eddie, your father?" And I went, "Yes, absolutely, my father." Anyway, my father shot speed for 13 years, and I used to be able to say, "Dad, show everybody your tracks." Anyway, I became a celebrity, and from the very beginning I thought, this is going to end, because when I grew up, I watched my parents' celebrity end. And so I never enjoyed it. I never enjoyed anything as it was going on. I didn't think I was pretty. I didn't like my looks. I got involved in a difficult relationship. Not that, it was difficult. But I complicated things. Anyway, suffice to say that by the time I was 28, I had overdosed, and I was in rehab. And I stayed sober at that point for a couple of years. And then I moved to New York. I got back together with my then ex-husband, and he told me I didn't need those meetings, and I stopped going. So then I slipped on ayahuasca, and I know a lot of you have. It is what the witch doctor gives you in the Amazon. And I thought, how can I pass up an opportunity like that? That's so great. So ultimately it led me back to what I did, which was alcohol and pills and whatever you had. And so it took me a while. I had a relationship again, like I didn't learn, and this person turned out to be gay, but he forgot to tell me. It slipped his mind, and I had a child with him, and then he remembered. So that was complicated. I've had a stressful life, I think. I've had a psychotic break. I've been in a mental hospital, you know. Is she in the room? Anyway, I get along, but what ultimately happened was I started using again after that. But I used in a controlled way, which is not my thing. I use out of control. I do it to death or not at all. And so I was, and it was killing me because I cannot take a little bit of anything. I mean, ultimately, it wasn't a little bit. But I ended up falling down in front of my daughter. And I keep thinking she's going to forget that that happened, but she doesn't. And that was my bottom this time. And that was right after my birthday, October, say, 23rd, 1998. And I woke up and I just said, if not now, when? And that was all it really took. I ended up in Connecticut. No one can explain that to me. A friend of mine said that that was where Bill Styron went. God. Anyway, I ended up detoxing, and it was freezing. And detoxing is bad in the warm weather, but you can imagine doing it where it's snowing. So that was very bad, and I ended up doing a sort of halfway house thing here at Malibu. And there was a man, Clancy, and I was very afraid of Clancy, and I heard him speak here, and I thought, I'm afraid of him? I mean, I'm the person that went from marijuana to, you know. So I asked him to be my sponsor. And he is my sponsor. And he's been a great sponsor for me. I take instruction. It's really important if you're new to get a sponsor and work the steps with the sponsor. I did this with Clancy. I had done these things before, but if you don't continue going to meetings, it sort of doesn't work. So I follow instruction, and I like losing my vote. I grew up with parents that did not give me any sort of boundaries, and I wanted them. I wanted to know, because in my mind, nothing is wrong. You know, I'm allowed to do anything, and if you live in a world of total permission, it's scary. And I did, and that meant I could buy whatever I wanted and go wherever I wanted. And it was, you know, my impulses were edicts from the Vatican. And I liked running stuff by somebody. And, you know, I'd been in therapy all my life. I mean, there was hardly anything that I didn't try. I went to EST. I went to the EST 6 day. I went to I did 13 workshops. And I really did them, I think. And they were all fine. But I think I did them to control my drinking and drugging, and it didn't really work for that. I mean, they don't let you do it when you're in the workshop, but as soon as I left, actually I think I did MDA in a workshop. So it's really effective. So, you know, I've tried everything in my life, and I'm really grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous. I go every Wednesday night. I mean, I go to a lot of meetings, but I do not miss Wednesday night. And I really like having guidelines to follow. So it's not left up to me, because left up to my own devices, I will get myself in a lot of trouble. I think I've proven that. Having been in a mental hospital, what I learned from that was I learned the difference between a problem and an inconvenience. And what I found out is that I've had a life of inconveniences. And I have had 3 problems. I've told you about a couple of them. Actually, the mental hospital was a problem. I now don't think of my, and the gay thing was a problem. But I don't think of, but it works out. I have a great relationship today with my daughter's father, and we co-parent together. We're going to Disney World together for Memorial Day weekend. And I mean, that's really a gift of, you know, that would never happen if I was loaded. That would never happen if I was still running it my way. And I have a great daughter, you know, she does do this about me. So I'm going to have the wildest ride she's 7. wait till it's adolescence. I'm going to just lose that battle. But, you know, I stay close to the program, and I do what I'm told, and I have commitments, and I'm doing it very differently than I did before. And they say the first sobriety is a gift, and the second is a bitch. And I can tell you for a fact that that second rehab for me was horrible, because I knew what they were going to tell me. You know, I had to do that all over again. But it has been a gift this time, and I'm really grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, my life today, I've always had a very interesting life. You know what they say? The Chinese curse is, may you live in interesting times. But I do not have a bad day now. I think I got them all out at the mental hospital, and I had some of your bad days too. But it taught me something, and I have a lot of gratitude for the life that I have today. And I'd like to thank, is that 20 minutes? I have 5 more minutes. Well, I'll tell you more stuff then. Any questions? No, I have a really good life today, and I never thought I would. The first time I got sober, I felt like I died, and I was haunting my life. And that's not supposed to be. I mean, I actually could see that I had a good life, and I couldn't feel it. I was trapped in my head, and it was as though I had a twin somewhere, and that was having a horrible time, and I was living in a nice house, and I had nice friends, and I had a good job, and I couldn't feel any of it. And that was what drinking and using did. They took away my ability to, I just took everything the wrong way. And, you know, I was very, very unhappy. I did at a certain point get suicidal. I mean, you know, I was thinking those things, and that's really horrible.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
To think that way. Today, I have a good relationship with my mother. She gets to be my mother. My mother, we went to the airport recently. My mother said, now, dear, we were on the sidewalk. She said, take these $2 and put them face up with the heads up and flat and put them in that machine over there. And I said, Mom, you know, I didn't just get here from Venus. It's been a few years. I mean, my mother does think that I am incapable of functioning without her. And sometimes, but my brother has the same background, and what we did with I feel like it's not what you're given, it's how you take it. And in my case, I took it and, you know, went to the bar and the dealer. My brother became a born-again Christian. But I said, you know, my own thing about that is, what do you do if you have a famous father that's never around? You get a more famous father, God, who's always there. And it's good for him, and it's really worked for him. Hi, Billy. You missed everything I talked about you. It was awful. I told him everything. Did you hear everything? You liar. I'm going to punish you. Get up. No. You're with the dog? Anyway, I get along really well with my brother today. I get along with everybody today. I've had enough, you know, and I've gotten a lot of that from the program and the spirituality of the program, and that would have been hard. That was hard for me initially because I was more sort of agnostic, you know, and I really like the sort of Christian ethic of service, and I like what the program is about. So it's really helped me. Am I done yet? Have I been punished enough? All right, well, I really want to thank you all, because without you, I wouldn't be sober. Goodbye.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.